Hello and welcome to the Man Games. This is the podcast show. It is the Man
And the wife.
podcast. Today we are looking back at Judgment Day 2004. This was a SmackDown brand exclusive pay-per-view. It was on May 16th, 2004 in the LA Staples Center. The attendance was just under 19,000 and the buy rate was 235,000. So this was the first SmackDown pay-per-view after WrestleMania 20, where Eddie Guerrero retained his championship over Kurt Angle. So the main event in this pay-per-view was Eddie vs JBL, and the promotional poster was like the Undertaker, and like the set was more based on the Undertaker, I would have said. So yeah, it was a bit of a different pay-per-view really, as you could tell SmackDown were trying to make some new stars in this pay-per-view. So you could tell by, obviously, there's Mordecai in this pay-per-view, Rene Dupree. So yeah, you can see that they're trying to do different things, and obviously JBL's first main event pay-per-view, I believe. It's certainly a singles anyway.
Yeah, as you're saying, with it being SmackDown's first pay-per-view, there were some names actually I've never even heard of Mordecai before. I've never seen him since or ever. So
it only lasted about 2 months or something, I believe, unfortunately. But we'll get onto him obviously a little bit later on.
First match of the night was a tag team match. It was Rey Mysterio and RVD against the Dudley Boys. A match I thought was really good. I feel like I like all the opening matches every time we do a podcast at the moment. But I did actually really enjoy this match. I loved it when the Dudley Boys came out. Does Bubba Ray normally wear shorts like that?
He just started. This was kind of it. Or maybe, I think he had just started. Or maybe around, he's been doing it, he's either just started it or around maybe like a few months. Because I'm more remembering wearing them shorts because of the colour. And they used to have the figure of him like that.
Right.
But I'm not sure if, because he had a match at WrestleMania 20, but I can't remember if he was wearing shorts in that.
Do you see, he reminds me of a Brit who's on holiday in Tenerife, walking around in shorts like that.
Yeah.
With his pasty legs out. I don't know, I chuckled to myself there about that.
So just before we move on with the match, I'd just like to point out, a few weeks prior to this was the first draft, I believe. So that is why the rosters are a little bit different. We'll just go through who got drafted to where. So Rene Dupree got drafted to SmackDown, breaking up his team of La Resistance. Shelton Benjamin got drafted to Raw, breaking up his team with Charlie Haas. Matt Jimdrag got drafted to SmackDown, breaking up his team with Garrison Cade. Nydia, not Nadia out of American Pie. Nydia, who was with Jamie Noble, got drafted to Raw. Triple H got drafted to SmackDown, but he did later on get traded back. I believe Booker T and the Dudley Boys got traded back for Triple H, so he was back on Raw. Rhino got traded to Raw. RVD to SmackDown, to Jerry to Raw. Teddy Long to SmackDown, Edge to Raw, Spike Dudley to SmackDown, and Paul Heyman to Raw. Also in the post-draft trades, Rico Miss Jackie went to SmackDown, and A-Train and Chuck Palumbo went to Raw. So you might think Paul Heyman is a strange draft to have. So this was like a draft lottery. So the pick, like in a Royal Rumble.
Bingo ball.
Yeah, like a bingo ball. Yeah.
Okay.
So Paul Heyman was the last pick for Raw, and he quit the show. That is why Kurt Angle is now the general manager, if that is why you were wondering. Also because he was injured.
Right, okay.
Is also another reason. So that is why here I assume they're trying to make new stars, obviously, because Brock Lesnar just left the company, Goldberg had just left the company. I know he was on Raw, but it's worth mentioning. And obviously Kurt Angle was injured. So yeah, just a little bit of history there for you. So yeah, anyway, back to the first match. So it was the new team of RVD and Rey Mysterio against the Dudley Boys. So something that it didn't annoy me, but obviously this is a time where they're trying to make new stars. They've just got RVD from Raw, and he's kind of just put into a tag team with Rey Mysterio. Kind of think you've already got a star in RVD. They could have maybe done a bit more of him, as they never really did anything with RVD when he was on SmackDown, other than winning the tag team titles at one point. He never even had like a United States title run, which they kind of dropped the ball a little bit, I think. But that's just me. So yeah, in my notes, I've got Bubba Dudley is such a good heel. Shouting at Taz, "I don't like you anymore." I found it very, very funny.
Yeah, I think I really like the chemistry that these two teams had together. As you said, I think both the Dudley Boys make really good heels, and just sort of they do lots of things behind the ref's back, and they pretend to get tagged in and that sort of stuff. I really like, and I just think both Rey Mysterio and RVD have such unique styles. Obviously, both high flyers, but I feel like in a different way.
Yeah.
And I just really like this match and the chemistry they have between each other. There's quite early on in the match, RVD does like a monkey flip onto Bubba Ray, and it's like, obviously it's called a monkey flip, but it is like primal, his look and his style, and just think it's something so different, and I can't think of anybody else who wrestles like that off the top of my head.
Well, he's got his own style, because a lot of his moves are his own. He's put his own twist on his own moves, like the Rolling Thunder. He does one that he does like a cartwheel then into a moonsault. Even his leg drops, he would like do a jump around and then do the leg drop instead of just doing like a normal leg drop.
Yeah.
Obviously, inventing like the Van Daminator, which the opponent would hold the chair or chuck the chair at the opponent and then do a kick onto it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I feel like I'm really surprised that nobody else has tried to mimic that sort of thing, because, as you said, RVD was very underutilized, and
I think this time in his career, especially in WWE, this when he was the most underutilized. I mean, he probably was on TV every week, but he could have been definitely in a better spot on SmackDown. So, Bubba threw Ray onto the top rope, which I thought looked like it absolutely was brutal.
Yeah.
Ray's neck going straight into that top rope. I thought that looked, pretty brutal. That.
With RVD drawing the ropes and Bubba pulls him down, and then Bubba attacks him outside the ring, slamming his head against the announcer's table.
Yeah.
That was pretty just devastating blows.
Some of the slaps that Bubba Ray was giving Rey Mysterio as well looked like they were very stiff and.
Yeah.
And then at one point, Bubba Ray has Ray trapped in the ropes, upside down, and then Ray kind of hits like a diamond cutter or an RKO on Bubba.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ray's still stuck in the ropes, but Bubba goes down still. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think that's something like since then. I don't think I've seen that before, really.
Yeah, that was good. There was also a
or before or after, should I say?
Ray does a really good crossbody springboard off the second rope onto. I want to say Bubba, but I could be wrong there. But that was a really stiff move there. It was good. Rey Mysterio goes to do a 619, but Devon grabbing his legs, pulling him under the ring. Like really, sort of really good heel stuff, I thought. Rolling Thunder, love that move.
It's good.
Yeah, RVD does that to Devon. Yeah, really good. And then there was something. Now all I have is catapult into razor scissors by Ray and RVD to Devon. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Like this set of moves that they did, it was just that fast and that sort of like woo. But I couldn't get all my notes down. But
yes,
like.
It's kind of what Ray and Billy Kidman used to do in WCW. So RVD catapults Ray up into the air to do a Hurricane Rana, or I think they call it something else there, but it's kind of like a Hurricane Rana. And then, into a double 619. Both Dudley Boys are in the ropes. Ray hits the 619. Frog Splash. RVD and Rey Mysterio win the match.
Yeah, really good match. Really made me appreciate RVD's style. Like I know you have always been a fan of him, and you always say what a great wrestler he is and stuff like that. And I haven't liked him or anything, but for me, I really feel like this match
showcased him,
showcased his style, yeah. And I feel like it was like in the thunder roll, like rolling around, and for me, it elevated RVD from what I've seen.
They got time as well for a tag team match on a pay per view that isn't for the titles. They went over 15 minutes, which is surprising. It's the second longest match on the card.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I didn't feel like it was the second longest match either.
Well, so we'll get onto it later, but I thought Chavo and Jacqueline, that match only went 4 minutes. 47, that felt to me like that was on for 15 minutes, personally.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a good opening match. It got the crowd off to a good start, I thought. Like I said before, I feel like RVD should have had a better run on SmackDown, my own personal opinion. And also, does RVD have the best frog splash? Because you hadn't even realised it was a frog splash when he did it, because I assume it's because his is that devastating.
Yeah, I asked you what it was. I said, what? That wasn't a frog splash. What was it?
Yeah. I think because once again, RVD puts his own spin on it, it just looks like he breaks his opponent and breaks himself. Like, he really sells that he's hurt himself, which he probably isn't even selling it. Probably is,
yeah,
real
probably is
pain.
really giving it his all. But
everyone else that does a frog splash kind of they stay on top of their opponent. Especially like Eddie Guerrero does have a frog splash, but I think people say Eddie Guerrero's got the best frog splash. Eddie Guerrero's one of my favourite wrestlers, but I kind of feel like people say his is the best just because he's no longer with us sometimes.
Okay.
Which is fine. People can have their own opinion, but I think I would say I prefer, if I had to pick between Eddie and RVD, I'd pick Eddie, but I do think RVD has the better frog splash in my opinion, just because it looks so brutal.
Yeah, it certainly does. But as you were saying earlier, it's all about RVD's style, and I think every move he does is so different because he puts his own style on it. And
yeah,
I think that's what makes him a really interesting wrestler. And it does really surprise me that he did have a better run, and that he hasn't had. It shocks me that
was only on SmackDown though.
Yeah, I know, but it just shocks me that I've been watching wrestling now for nine years. And this is the first match of RVD's I've really got into. That probably shouldn't be the way.
Yeah, but when we've watched wrestling since we've been together as a couple, he came back and had maybe, I think it might have only been like a 6-month run in WWE.
Well, yeah, I know that exactly. So I know he's only been wrestling.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying you've not had the opportunity to watch him on like a main TV show.
That's true. I need to watch.
Obviously now he's on Impact Wrestling, and I don't know, Impact Wrestling just isn't what it used to be. I used to love TNA back in the day, but yeah, it's just, to me, it's just not. It's a completely different show. It is no longer what it used to be. It's yeah. It's kind of like when someone buys a new house and they just pull it down and redo it. It's just completely different to me. So yeah. But we will move on. So next up, it was a backstage segment. Josh Matthews interviewing Booker T. Booker T saying that he is like the top star on SmackDown. Like I said before, he
says he's bigger than Ray, he's bigger than RVD, and The Undertaker. He's going to show everybody he's the one true star of SmackDown. He's in his room with lots of candles, and it looks like he's trying to make it very atmospheric, and he's really getting into the zone. And he's saying to Josh Matthews, you're killing my vibe almost, and I'm trying to get into the zone. And what do you want?
Yeah, what annoyed me about, and this is Booker T, another wrestler that I've really liked all my life watching wrestling. He kept on talking, not into the microphone. He kept on talking like up in the air, and like it just like kind of took me out of taking him a bit serious, because it was just a bit all over the place. I don't know if that's because like Josh Matthews couldn't move his arm, or do you know what I mean? It's just he was talking, and then he was talking with his head the other way, and I don't know. I just didn't really think it was a great promo, really. Not for what he was saying, just because he just didn't keep on talking to the microphone.
Can't say I noticed, but not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it wasn't something that bothered me as much as it bothered you.
Yeah. So at WrestleMania, Booker T and RVD were Raw Tag Team Champions, and now just a few months later, RVD is now teaming with Ray, and Booker T is a heel on SmackDown. How things can change in 2 months. So next up, we had Luther Reigns pushing Kurt Angle to the ring, but yeah, you can't tell it's Kurt Angle because he's in like this box.
Black thing.
Like a black box, kind of. He's pushing it to the ring, and then Kurt Angle rises out of the box in a wheelchair. So, were you thinking, why is Kurt Angle in a wheelchair? Or...
yeah, I was thinking...
Obviously, this is the first time you'd ever seen this pay-per-view, so...
Yeah, it was, and I thought a lot of things. I thought, one, why is he in a black box? Why is he in a wheelchair? Why is he general manager of SmackDown? Those were the 3 questions I had.
Yes, so at WrestleMania 20, The Big Show lost the United States Championship to John Cena. And then on an episode of SmackDown, he said he would quit if he failed to defeat Eddie Guerrero that night. He lost to Eddie Guerrero. And then later on in the show, he believed that Torrie Wilson was laughing at him for losing. So then he kind of went a bit crazy, chasing Torrie Wilson and threatening to throw off a ledge in the arena. Kurt Angle got involved, trying to, calm him down. And then the Big Show choke slammed Angle off the ledge, apparently, caused him to break his leg. So yeah, Kurt Angle was laid out bleeding from the back of the head.
Lovely. Okay.
So yeah, just a little recap there of why Kurt Angle was in a wheelchair. So he's cutting a heel promo.
Yeah, doing the classics of insulting LA and, then insulting sort of Eddie Guerrero and stuff like that. But he's out there to address the person who he believes put him in the wheelchair, and that is Torrie Wilson.
So yeah, he's saying if she loses her match tonight, she will be fired also.
I do enjoy when Torrie comes down and her, don't mean to be nasty about Torrie, but that terrible acting of her looking confused or scared or just, I just don't know what she was trying to achieve.
Torrie Wilson's a saint, leave her alone.
Okay.
So it was Torrie Wilson versus Dawn Marie. They went 6 minutes 14 seconds. It wasn't a great match. I do think that sometimes the girls get a hard rap around this kind of era. I know, like when I was watching this at this time, I really enjoyed watching them just get time on TV. Really, like I always look forward to a Trish match or a Tori match or Molly Holly, or just because they only seem to get one segment on the show, so I always really got excited for that segment. But watching this back, I wasn't really a fan of this.
Yeah, I've got here, Dawn Marie reminds me of Carol Baskin.
Why?
I don't know. Just because that says like a bit of like a leopardy look about her and that like wild hair. I realise that Carol Baskin is like...
Awful?
Yeah, and obviously Dawn Marie is very pretty, but there's just that's just what vibe I got, so I had to write it down. Because you were saying...
So, sorry, if anyone agrees with my wife and they think that Dawn Marie is like Carol Baskin, let me know in the comments, but be kind.
Anyway, I'm not saying she looks like... I don't know, just got these vibes. Anyway, as you were saying about not being a great match, that look...
Sorry, I just can't laughing. All I'm thinking now is Torrie Wilson in the ring saying, "That bitch, Dawn Marie."
No, Dawn Marie looks... Yeah, okay, fair enough. Anyway, going back to the match, okay, and you're saying that they got a bit of time, which is nice, but it wasn't a great match. To be honest, I agree, it wasn't a spectacular match, but I was surprised at things like when Torrie Wilson goes up to the top rope. I just didn't expect divas at that time were doing those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I thought that they sort of like flushed all that out. But
they were trying. I know Finlay was a big supporter of the women's wrestling, and he trained a lot of the women wrestlers. But I know that they do need something to try and hook the fans into the match. But the clotheslines and things like that, I thought were really sloppy in this match.
Yeah, I felt like it was
takedowns just didn't look very realistic, personally.
It's very much a divas match.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's the talent, or if it's because they've been told that they need to make sure they look like women in a way that like they have to be gentle and not too
maybe.
vicious. Is it that behind the scenes that them saying don't look too aggressive and vicious because it's not what you're here for, sort of thing, or is it just because they haven't got the training? I don't know. But I think the biggest part that the crowd enjoyed was when Dawn Marie's trousers get ripped.
Yeah, I actually missed how that happened. So yeah, wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
Tori gets into a backslide for the win.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not a great match, but it was nice to see them on the pay-per-view. To be fair,
that's true. And to get 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think though with the stipulation being if she got fired, either Dawn Marie should have worked over Tori more, and then she got the roll up, or maybe Tori got a really quick roll up and win. Maybe if that.
Perhaps they were aiming for that, but then obviously with the malfunction.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I feel like that wardrobe malfunction was a mistake.
Maybe.
And that's my personal opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. But so perhaps they were trying to aim for that, and then because her ass was hanging out, they cut them out short just to.
I think this is like more on the time where they think every woman in wrestling has to be a wrestler, whereas I don't agree with that. I think a woman, can be a manager or an on-ring character. Not every woman in wrestling needs to be an active wrestler. I mean, even like Vicky Guerrero ended up having a wrestling match. I just, yeah. I mean, if you look back to the old days, like there was Nancy Benoit, woman, and like Miss Guerrero, Miss Elizabeth. They didn't need matches. I think Miss Elizabeth did actually have some in WCW towards the end, but they didn't need to have a match. They just needed to be, do their part. I think Dawn Marie would have been better being someone's valet than an actual wrestler. I think even if like Nydia's just been drafted to Raw, she could have been maybe Jamie Noble's manager after that, and maybe done something a bit better. That's my personal opinion. And also, I think around this era as well, Tori Wilson, even though this match wasn't great, I think she was one of the best women at the time. At least maybe only character-wise, she should have had a run with a title belt at some point. I do think, just because of all the hard work she put in, I think she should have had, even if it was a short run, she should have had something.
Who was the women's champion at this point?
Trish Stratus.
I'm guessing she was
No. I'm wrong. It was Victoria, I think. Yeah, it was Victoria because Trish had just turned heel at WrestleMania 20.
So was the belt on Raw then?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So SmackDown did not have a women's championship at this time, so Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie seemed to just have a feud that never ended, really.
Because there was no goal.
Well, there was just them two, really, and then.
What other female wrestlers were on SmackDown? Do you not know?
I knew there was Nydia, but obviously she just got traded to Raw. Miss Jackie, as she's now there. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else other than obviously the 4 women actually on this pay-per-view.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is unfortunate for the women, because how are they supposed to get any better and show what they can do if they don't have anybody else to work against? And
yeah, I feel like Raw, because Raw had the belt, they tried to put the women that could really wrestle on Raw, and SmackDown just got the leftovers.
Which I guess in a way makes sense, because you do want your best wrestlers around the belt, but then it's not really.
Yeah, but
fair.
who said Raw was the main show, like other than Vince McMahon, obviously, because he clearly thinks Raw is the main show, but I can't really remember a time where, in my opinion, Raw has been the standout better show. In my own opinion, really, I've always been more of a SmackDown guy, and when SmackDown hasn't been good, I wouldn't say it was because Raw was really good. I think it was just because SmackDown hasn't been good. Recently, I think 2016 to the beginning of 2017 was really a high point for SmackDown recently. When Dean Ambrose was the world champion, then AJ Styles had it. Becky Lynch became the first SmackDown Women's Champion around that time. There was The Miz feuding with John Cena and him doing the impressions of Miz and Maryse.
Yeah.
And then there was Fashion Files every week, which was really good. Like around that time, to me, in recent times, that was my favourite point of SmackDown. So yeah, back to the card though. We get JBL cutting a heel promo. Right, this is
Backstage. obviously.
Backstage, yeah. But the thing that's annoying me now is a pay-per-view. We've had 3 promos, and this is the 3rd heel promo in a row. Do we
Yeah.
really need that?
It's the second one in a row that insults LA. It just annoys me when every heel comes out and just insults where they're at.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to do.
Especially like so close together.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just so easy to come out and wind the crowd up by being like that. Slagging off the hometown. So super easy, but can you not get more creative to get that heel? I don't know.
So obviously, like we said before, we had Booker T cutting a promo backstage, which was the heel promo. Kurt Angle then comes to the ring and cuts a heel promo. Now JBL cutting a heel promo. And just kind of think to myself, this is a pay-per-view. It's very promo heavy at the moment, and let's concentrate on to the ring action. Really.
Yeah, I feel like that Kurt Angle segment when he comes out, it was a bit long. I don't know why it needs to be so long.
Yeah, completely agree with you.
So yeah.
So another thing I just want to say, when this pay-per-view actually happened, this is back in the VHS days, and my dad had recorded me this pay-per-view as we weren't living together at the time. He brought it to my house on, I think, the Monday night afterwards. So I sat and watched this pay-per-view in my bedroom, and then the next day at school I told all my friends, and they all wanted to lend the pay-per-view off me. So I think maybe out of my circle of friends, only one other person really liked wrestling, and my other 2 friends lent the VHS as well. So, because we were talking about certain things that happened on the show, it made people that didn't even like wrestling want to watch it, which I remember thinking back then is quite cool, because, I remember saying to one of my friends, well, you don't like wrestling, why do you want to watch it? And he was like, oh, 'cause it sounds good. So, yeah. Which I think this next match kind of had a bit to do with that. Mordecai against Scotty Swatty. What did you think of Mordecai?
Don't like him.
You don't. You're just like them. That's why it didn't work.
This is what I've got. Never seen Mordecai before. He looks like an Undertaker wannabe, but in white. His ring gear is awful. You can practically see his penis. His trunks on that are too small. The leggings over the top. A see-through white top over the priest collar. I can see why I've never seen it before, and I can see why he clearly never got over.
Oh dear.
But that's just my opinion.
So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking more about me when I watched this at the time. Did we say this was 2004? So I'll have been 14 at the time. I remember thinking that Mordecai is going to be maybe like one of the next big stars, just because of the look and the presence that I thought he had at the, with more of like the video packages that he had before this. So I really liked his entrance music. I thought it was really cool. I did think that kind of the entrance is cool once, and then when he took like the jacket off, it did kind of take some of the mystique away. I thought in a bit, just because I didn't. His attire could have been better, like you kind of said.
I just thought he looked ridiculous.
So Mordecai would later come to be Kevin Thorne in ECW, the rebirth of ECW, should we say. And then he got a vampire gimmick. So yeah, he went from this, like, is it like Antichrist, or I don't really know what his gimmick was meant to be.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Saying that I did like it at the time. I thought it was something different, and they were trying to make, a new star, which was good at the time. And this is obviously me at 14 realising, they're trying, this guy could be like the next thing, because they're trying.
Okay, so my question to you then is, watching this back now at older than 14, so we say,
people know it's 16 years later, I'm sure they can do the maths.
Know that. Well, at 30 years old, do you still think it's a good gimmick? Don't put in your 14-year-old self thinking, oh, new talent. Looking back now, do you still think it's a good gimmick?
I think it has the potential to be good if they did it maybe a little bit better, maybe presented him better once he got into the ring. I did think in the match he was still a little bit green as well, to be honest. Looking back now.
I feel like you didn't really answer my question.
Well, I did. I said I think it has the potential. Has the potential to be better.
Can you see why I didn't get over?
Yeah, I suppose so. But I think they could have maybe put more time into trying to help
Him
the
learn how to
character.
dress.
Well, no, but like he'll be wearing what they tell him to wear. It's
I
not
know.
his fault. I know. Like when Billy Kidman came into WWE, he had to change what he wore because they didn't like what he wore in WCW, and Simon Dean had to change his colours because they didn't agree with a heel wearing baby blue, so they had to wear purple. Just silly things like that.
But I just, at what point did someone look at those trunks and leggings combo that they had going on and think, yes, that is the look we're going for? A little bit like a stripper. That's what it reminded me. Like, it was just awful. It was so tight. It just, no, not for me. In fact, this is my notes for the match. Short match. Mordecai won. Didn't even see the ending.
Oh.
So if you want to expand on that, you go for it.
So this was a squash match, which you don't normally see on a pay-per-view, especially at this time in wrestling. So it just went over 3 minutes. Like I did say before, Mordecai is a little bit green. So Scotty Twatty goes to do the worm, but he pulls him forward, which was a bit clunky really because he fell backwards into Mordecai, which wasn't great. Then he hit a super kick, hit the razor's edge on Scotty, and Mordecai wins. I think after this he had another pay-per-view match against Hardcore Holly, and I think that was the end of Mordecai.
Yeah.
And like I said, then later on they give him a vampire gimmick because ECW, the Rebirth, was going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel, and the Sci-Fi Channel wanted more character-based superstars, so he was a vampire with Ariel.
What, as in like the mermaid?
No, the woman, his manager was called Ariel.
Oh, right, okay.
Where,
I thought you meant Ariel was like the mermaid from...
So you thought a vampire came to the ring with a mermaid?
That's why I sounded very confused. My head went straight to Disney, which probably doesn't make sense being Sci-Fi Channel. Anyway.
So next up, we got Chavo Guerrero backstage with his dad going through the match against Jacqueline. It's kind of a bit heelish again. It was a bit like another heel promo, but then Jacqueline does come in and gives Chavo dad some women's underwear that he can wear. It's very child humour, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not really...
Now, if it had paid off later on in the night, I think I could have got behind it. Like say if later on maybe like she pulled him because she had pulled his trousers down once and exposed him before. If she'd done it later and he was actually wearing the women's underwear, I think that could have got like a little bit of a pop from the crowd. But because he didn't even play into anything, I feel like this was a bit pointless, really.
Yeah, there was no need for this. But
I'm not a massive fan of a woman being not because she's a woman, but a woman being the cruiserweight champion. I don't know if I really like that personally.
Okay.
And also, she kind of just came out of nowhere and won it, I think. She wasn't really doing anything at the time, and then next thing, she was the Cruiserweight champion. It was just a bit like, what's going on? Like, she was kind of one of the people you forgot with the company, and then she'd maybe come back here and there.
Did she ever, after this little feud, I suppose, she had with Chavo, did she go and wrestle with Tori and Dawn Marie, or?
I don't remember. The next memory of her after this is her in TNA. For me personally, I think she did a little bit of wrestling, and then she was the manager of Bear Money.
Right. Okay.
In TNA. So yeah, because I didn't start watching WWE really until, properly it was probably the end of 2000 or beginning of 2001. But I had seen little bits there and there. I kind of missed like Jacqueline Ivory, and there was another Tori, not Tori Wilson. She was called Tori. I kind of missed out on them. 3 women wrestlers. I don't really know much about them.
Okay.
I'd say out of them all, I know more about Ivory than the 3 of them.
Yeah.
But before we get to the next match, I would just like to say, if this is the first time you're listening to the Man and the Wife podcast...
You just took my part. Let's try that again.
Go on then. So if this is the first time you are listening to the Man...
And the Wife
podcast, please give this video a like and please subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out at the Man Games. We are really trying to build this YouTube channel, so just by you subscribing really helps us out. Also, check out the other content on the channel. There is lots and lots of 2K20 content on the channel. There is the universe modes, there is special entrances, there is just all sorts 2K20 wise. There is Fun with Figures episodes, which is me looking at some of the wrestling figures from the past and hopefully some of the newer ones soon, hopefully, come September when them AEW ones get released. And also there is the watch along, me watching the best of Brody Lee in CZW. They go up every Saturday at the moment. On a Sunday we try to do a weekly roundup, which is me just going through some of the stories and updates from the week and just a bit of a ramble, sorry. So anyway, now we are back to the show. Judgment Day 2004. Rico, Charlie Haas and Miss Jackie against Hardcore Holly and Billy Gunn. What did you think to, well, both teams, really?
Okay, I have questions here.
Yeah, go for it.
What was Rico, sorry. Okay. Rico and Miss Jackie's gimmick? Like, I get that obviously Rico is gay. Or a queer character.
Yeah.
But where does Jackie fit in?
Well, I'm not sure if she's meant to be like his like gay best friend or if she's meant to be his like stylist or something. Because originally Rico was Billy and Chuck's stylist, sorry. Okay. Which I don't think commentary put over on the show, which, you know, they could have said like Rico and Billy Gunn have history, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. I didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
And then I don't understand how Rico and Charlie Haas are a tag team then.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't actually remember how they came together as a tag team. Obviously, Shelton Benjamin had just been drafted to Raw, so Charlie Haas was without a partner. I think because in real life, Charlie Haas and Jackie are married. I'm not sure if they were at the time, but I can imagine it was summer. I think it might have been Charlie Haas was talking to Jackie and she said, "Why don't you team up with Rico?" And in their first match as a tag team, they won the tag team titles from Rikishi and Scotty 2
Okay.
So Rico at this point was a two-time tag team champion. He had won the titles with Rikishi. Also at last year's Judgment Day, I believe that was.
Okay.
So yeah, just a little fun fact there.
I was looking forward to watching Billy Gunn and Hardcore Holly. I know that they are.
Yeah, well, one of my notes here is Billy Gunn is so underused right now in this time. This is kind of 4 guys in this match that I don't think they had a proper, what is the word I'm looking for? Like long-term booking, shall we say?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Rico and
no
Charlie...
vision for them.
Yeah, no vision for them, yeah, good word. I don't think Rico and Charlie Haas were a tag team for that long, really, which I actually did quite like him. I thought they worked well together. I really liked Charlie Haas as well. When him and Shelton were together when the first teamed, I actually thought Charlie Haas was the better wrestler, but Shelton Benjamin did end up going to a different level.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I've seen Charlie Haas in a match or watching him wrestle before, but I thought he was good talent.
Yeah, like I said, I really did like Charlie Haas. So he was part of the world's greatest tag team with Shelton Benjamin. Right. They got, I think they're in OVW together, and then they got called up to be part of Team Angle.
Okay.
When Kurt Angle was feuding against Brock Lesnar, as Shelton Benjamin used to be tag teamed with Brock Lesnar in OVW also. So yeah, another fact, Rico used to be a policeman. I think that is actually what he does now again.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go back to Rico. He reminds. Sorry, I know we're on Rico even. He reminds me a bit of Velveteen Dream. In a way, I think obviously he goes for a more comical sort of persona in his what's the word I'm looking for? Not queerness, but just sort of like
camp.
Yeah, and I know that obviously Velveteen Dream has that sort of quality about him as well. You know, he embraces his different side, I suppose you could say. But yeah, just sort of made me think of just a little bit of Velveteen Dream. Like Velveteen Dream's like I would say obviously a more modern take on something like that. Obviously Rico works, I imagine, in the early 2000s in that comical sense, because that's kind of the thing that WWE always goes for. They always make things like almost stupid in a way, over the top.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays they don't do that as much. I feel like they don't do that as much. They don't go for that silly sort of childish humour. But Velveteen Dream still has that.
I don't know. I think maybe you've been a bit kind to them there.
I think like it's not as bad as it was.
Well, they did have Drake Maverick wet himself on a Survivor Series a couple of years ago. I feel like that's quite childish humour.
Well, I suppose, but I feel like there is a lot more stupid stuff going on in the early 2000s than what there is now.
Yeah, maybe. But then people were watching then, and people aren't watching as much now.
Well, maybe. That's true. Anyway,
So, one thing that I didn't like was Billy and Hardcore Holly's entrance. They came out to Hardcore Holly's music, which really surprised me because in my mind, Billy Gunn is the biggest star in this match.
Yeah.
Like I said before, he's just so underused. He's another one that should have been in a better spot. Not necessarily in the card, but in the company. He's such a bigger guy than you'd think. I have actually met Billy Gunn at an airport in Orlando. So yeah, I know personally I like how big he is. I didn't tell you that I met him until after, did I?
Yeah. He left me in the airport and came back and was like, look what I've just done. So thanks for that. Yeah. Well, I've got just some notes on the match. I've got a nice drop kick by Hardcore Holly to Charlie Haas. Because Hardcore Holly is working lots on Charlie Haas in the ring at one point.
Sorry to just interrupt you. Do you remember where Miss Jackie came from?
No.
She was one of the co-winners in Tough Enough 2. She won with Shaniqua.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
You don't remember that?
No.
We have actually watched all the Tough Enoughs together on the WWE Network also.
I really enjoyed them. They were really
good. They were good, yeah. It's just a shame that no one really became a big star. Well, the winner, should we say, out of them.
Obviously, The Miz did quite well.
Yeah, but he didn't win.
No, I know that. But I mean, as a contender, he did well. I think the winners never do, because obviously Velveteen Dream was on the newer ones, wasn't he?
Yeah. So was Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green. It was that Getty guy, wasn't it? Who used to go like blah, blah, blah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't remember him.
I can't remember what his name was. The Getty, was it, or the Yeti or something?
Was he the big Australian dude, or was
I don't think he was Australian. No, that was the crocodile guy, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. The
Can't
crocodile
remember
guy.
what he was called neither.
So yeah, I feel like there was a lot of Billy Gunn and Hardcore Holly in this match, dominating sort of thing. They got lots of tags back and forth working over Charlie Haas. Obviously, when Rico was in the ring, it was more about him freaking them out rather than actually wrestling. I felt like that Charlie Haas brought the wrestling technique in the match personally. So yeah.
So Charlie Haas got a big boot up to Hardcore Holly as he jumped off the top rope. Then Billy Gunn hits the famouser, but there'd been a blind tag, I believe.
Yes.
Holly goes for the Alabama Slam. Rico hits a super kick. Charlie Haas rolls up for the win. Sorry, so that match went 10 minutes and 26 seconds. I do think this was a decent match.
I feel like, I know that obviously Rico was doing his comical stuff and, embodying his character and doing that, but I feel like that kind of took away from the match a little bit, because I feel like there was some good wrestling, and I feel like his sort of stuff slowed it down a little bit.
I suppose that's just him trying to get over his gimmick, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Like at the beginning of the match, he grabs both Billy Gunn's and Holly's butt.
Yeah,
and Billy Gunn doesn't like it, and he's an ass man. I mean, what's all that about?
Obviously a liar.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay match, not a great, fantastic match.
Yeah, it was all right.
Enjoyable, but yeah.
But when I do think about maybe that's not true. But like, there's some pay-per-views though that like when when I think back, I can't remember a lot of the matches on the card. Without even looking at this card, I knew that Eddie and Bradshaw were the main event. I knew that Booker T fought The Undertaker. I knew Mordecai and Scotty 2 had a match. And I knew that Billy Gunn and Hardcore Holly teamed up because I remember it, from my childhood. Do you know what I mean?
So a memorable pay-per-view for you. That's good.
Well, yeah, I think just because I remember also my friends wanting to watch it, so it stuck out in my mind a bit better maybe than it would have done. But also, I loved Eddie Guerrero being champion, so this was like his first standout alone pay-per-view really as him as a champion. So, in a way, this was a bit special to me also. So yeah, moving on, another backstage promo. At this point, I'm a bit sick of promos, to be honest. But at least this had the brilliance of Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer is so good. I didn't really mind this one, really.
Yeah.
So Paul Bearer had returned at WrestleMania 20 with The Undertaker. Very out of shape though, unfortunately. He's very big. I think that's why he only came back for a few months, because he was struggling to move around, which is kind of sad, really. It's a shame. DDP yoga wasn't a bigger thing back then. Of course, I feel like someone like Paul Bearer really needed it at that time in his life.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd still be with us today if someone had looked out for him like DDP has looked out for, Jet the Snake and Scott Hall and other people.
Yeah, he's done fantastic work with that DDP yoga. Amazing stuff.
So, just a quick story. Tony Schiavone said that he'd said something on AEW and he thought Booker T, where's that come from? DDP was going to be upset about it. Can't remember what it was now, but then Paige just said to Tony he wanted to see him later, and Tony was really worried that he was going to shout at him about what he'd said on air. I think it was something to do with a book, either his book or JR's book or something. And so Paige goes up to him and Tony's really worried, and he said, I've noticed you put on a little bit more, a few extra pounds. And Tony was like, oh, yeah, I'll get back to doing my DDP yoga. So, yeah, the next match up is Jacqueline versus Chavo for the Cruiserweight Championship. Chavo Guerrero Sr. in his corner. So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of this match, to be honest. I would say this was my least favourite part of the show. I would pick Tori and Dawn Marie over this any day. I do like the people involved. I just didn't like it personally. I didn't really like the fact that it was kind of like we just had a bit of comedy with Rico, and then this was a bit comedy-ish with the hand tie behind the back. I feel like if they're going to put this on the card, maybe put it between Cena's match and the Undertaker's match, or between Undertaker and the main event, maybe space it out a little bit differently. But that's just me.
Yeah. My question is, why did Chavo have his hand tied behind his back?
Because he said he could beat her with one hand tied behind his back.
Right.
And also, a few months prior to this, we'd just seen Eddie Guerrero do the same thing. He had said to Paul Heyman, I could beat you with both hands tied behind my back. So doing something that doesn't happen very often, quite close. Do you know what I mean? Like,
just took it away a little bit.
Not necessarily that, but obviously the first time was so much better, because what had happened was, so Eddie's in the ring with his hands handcuffed behind his back, and Kurt Angle wasn't there, and then he was there, and Kurt Angle came down and beat Eddie Guerrero up, and obviously he couldn't defend himself. So it was a really good segment of the show, whereas this was a match which just wasn't. He was just there, really.
What do you think of this storyline?
Didn't like it.
Okay.
Didn't like it. I feel like the hard work that all the cruiserweights are putting in WCW has been lost, really. Just because, the Cruiserweight Championship deserves a better feature on a pay-per-view, really. Obviously I know WCW wasn't great in its later years, but when I think of the Cruiserweights, I think of Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, and, Jericho being Cruiserweight Champion in WCW, and Dean Malenko, whereas here we've got, I don't want to sound sexist, I don't want to be like a woman's in the match, but it just, I feel like it took away from the prestige of the Cruiserweight Championship a bit, personally. When you put Eddie Guerrero against Rey Mysterio up against Chavo Guerrero against Jacqueline, maybe if it had been a proper actual wrestling match, it would have been good. Do you know what I mean? Because both people can wrestle, but with the hand tie behind the back. I
made
just
it more
didn't.
into a joke. And with
Yeah.
the lingerie, like, you know,
It
the
just
promo
all.
beforehand with the lingerie, made it more of a joke than actually.
Yeah, it just all
I can
seems
see that.
silly. Yeah, if it had been maybe a straight out actual wrestling match, and Jackie could have been a wrestler as well.
Yeah, rather than just a woman who wrestles.
Yeah, because that was like the feature of the match. A woman is the cruiserweight champion more than the actual match, really.
So obviously,
but I did. Sorry to cut you off. I did think Jackie looked really good there. I thought, like physique wise, she looked really good, and I did think
very
she looked
strong and like I feel like she could have, in the way that she looked and stuff like that, that she could have held her own in a normal match and made it good and that, but they didn't allow that to happen. So obviously, and then at the beginning of the match, Chavo dominates Jackie right at the beginning of the match, like off the bat, one hand behind his back, getting her into the corner, picking her up with one arm to do a back breaker, those sorts of things. Just sort of really diminishes Jackie because, here she is looking amazing.
Yeah.
And then, and with two arms, working arms, and then Chavo gets off straight away and sort of like puts her in the corner essentially. But Jackie does get.
She low blows him at one point. I remember that.
I'm sorry, I realised I'm saying Jackie, not Jacqueline.
I do it as well, to be honest.
My bad. She gets a leg scissors as well during Chavo into the ring post. That was a good little sort of spot. Yep. She baseball slides Chavo's seeing it off the apron of the ring, and then Chavo hits her with a really hard clothesline, as you said, and then she does the low blow, which gets her a 2 count behind the ref's back. Whilst I think, is it just after this, the ref is going on at Jackie about the whole low blow thing or something, or I'm not sure how, but the ref's distracted, and Chavo Senior, or Chavo Classic,
unties his arms.
Yeah, unties Chavo's arm, so that he manages to hit a few moves with both his arms without the ref seeing.
So he hits a clothesline, works over Jackie, and then hits the glory bomb for the win. Chavo is the champion again. And what do we get after this? We get another heel promo. It's 2 heel heavy promos for our pay-per-view. This is my biggest fault of the match, in my opinion. I'm just getting a bit sick of it now.
Yeah.
I can't actually remember a pay-per-view with this many promos on it, like especially in the ring as well, because we get another one later from JBL in the ring in the main event. It's just like, why is there so much talking on a pay-per-view?
Ed Cena does one as well.
Yeah, but at least his was a babyface promo.
Well, that's true.
But I just mean, so we'd already seen Booker T heel promo backstage. We've seen Kurt Angle heel promo in the ring. Then who did we see? Sorry. Then we saw JBL do a heel promo. Then obviously there was Chavo being a heel backstage again. Now we've got Chavo being a heel inside the ring. Yeah, it's just two heel heavy promos for me. I'm just a bit over it at this point.
Fair enough. So my question, if I can move on a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was the first intergender match that I've seen that wasn't like a tag team or anything, where it was literally just like a man and a woman versing each other. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any that stand out at the top of my head anyway. But what do you think to intergender matches? Do you think they're appropriate? Obviously they don't do them anymore. Are they banned? Or they?
Well, they are. Well, I don't know if they're banned.
With WWE, obviously.
Yeah, I know Lucha Underground have done quite a few. Obviously in Impact Wrestling, Tessa Blanchard is their world champion.
Yeah.
So.
But obviously in WWE they don't do it anymore.
I think there's a time and a place for it if it makes sense to do it. I don't think obviously that there should be one every week on Raw, but like Baron Corbin hit Becky with the End of Days. I think it was at Extreme Rules last year. If they had then built Becky Lynch against Baron Corbin, I think that would have been really good. I think it would have got Baron Corbin some more heat, which he really needed at the time, because I personally thought he was getting shoved down my throat. So I think if he had fought Becky, it might have helped him a bit, character-wise. But that's obviously, like I said, it's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
So I think I quite like it if it makes sense, but yeah, I don't want it if it's just that. Like, I don't think a man should be fighting a woman just for the sake of it. I think there should be a good reason. Because there were at one point as well saying that Nia Jax was going to fight Dean Ambrose before he left to go to AEW. Obviously, I think they'd had like a spot in the Royal Rumble, I think, and then they'd done something on Raw a few episodes later. And there was a rumor going around that they were going to have a match, even if it was just a live event, but that didn't happen. But I think maybe the WWE thought this is going to look like we are burying Dean Ambrose on his way out, so they didn't do that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that's what they did. But yeah, so that was it. That was Chavo Guerrero winning back his Cruiserweight Championship with the help of his father. Also, at the end of the match, Chavo Sr. in the promo ends up kneeing Jacqueline in the chest. See, I didn't really like that. I just thought, yeah, I felt like that was more bad taste in a way, because you'd just seen a man cheat to win a woman, and then the elderly father knees her in the chest while she's down. I understand it's to get heel heat and stuff like that, but yeah, just wasn't really a fan of it. I could have done without this whole segment, really, to be honest. So now it is John Cena against Rene Dupree. So is this the first time that you've seen Rene Dupree?
Yeah, first time I've seen Rene Dupree. What is he doing now? What happened to him after this? Is he still wrestling? Is he?
Well, he has some awful tattoos, I know that, but I think he must just be on the indies or something.
Okay.
He was at one point the youngest WWE superstar to win the tag team championships. I believe that was at the age of 20. But I think I think now Kenny Dykstra might have that record of winning them at 19. I think that's just off the top of my head, though. I've not googled that or anything. So yeah, what were your first impressions of Rene Dupree?
Yeah, I mean, I liked him. I thought I liked the character, I suppose. Of his,
yeah,
like,
no,
French.
I completely agree. I really like Rene Dupree at this point. I really liked that they were trying to make him into a new character. He'd been in a tag team with La Resistance on Raw for such a long time. So I was really glad that they were trying to do something better with him. I remember as a kid actually liking his hairstyle. I thought he looked quite good.
Oh dear.
That's not very nice.
We'll move
I
on.
just mean, like, I thought his hair stood out more.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean.
We do know.
I don't mean like I wanted to go and get it myself. Pardon?
We do know you liked your blonde tips in your hair. But no, I did like his character. I think pinning him against John Cena, and obviously for the United States champion, I thought was a really good idea. I really enjoyed this match. But yeah, first time I've seen Rene Dupree. Big fan. I wish I've seen him more now, actually.
Well, to be honest, this is probably the best stuff he actually did, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
He didn't go on to much better things after this. I would say this was probably, in my opinion, the height of his time in WWE, personally.
Okay.
I feel like they should have tried more to keep this momentum rolling, because I feel like he did have momentum.
Yeah.
I really liked the video package before the match, actually.
It was really good,
Yeah, putting over him as this pretty much arsehole, really. Treating Tori Wilson bad, saying that his dog is nicer than her and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was like poodle. He sat there and he's obviously being all French, and he's there with a baguette. He's at the table having a glass of wine with like baguettes in the background. So yeah, good promo, good start.
Yeah. Like I said, I really wish they would have given more to Rene Dupree. I'll get to later on in the show what happened to him later, actually, at the end of this match. So yeah, John Cena came out in a Lakers jersey. Finally, my notes say finally a face promo, but it's still one too many promos for a pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Cena in his
Thugonomics days.
Thugonomics Word Life days. Gimmick. But I loved it. Like, it's just, and it's nice to see.
This was, sorry to cut you off, but this is when I was probably my biggest John Cena fan at the time. I really wanted his army t-shirt he had at the time. Yeah.
It was, so I didn't start watching wrestling in 2012. So obviously in 2012, Cena was more hit and miss with the fans in terms of like the older people, older men, and that were saying Cena sucks, but the kids loved him.
Yeah, the kids and women loved him, but the male audience didn't.
And it was very, I'm not saying he's not babyface here, but he was that very much that good guy sort of patriarchal, not patriarchal, but like role model sort of person. A role model sort of thing. So he was that, and he was that sort of character. But obviously, when he's this thugonomics, it's a bit more edgy, and he does his rapping and stuff like that. But it was really good to see the crowd just like lapping it up and being all over Cena. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, watching him come out and having that sort of reaction with the fans.
So yeah, getting to the match.
Cena starts off strong, doesn't he? But it's very soon countered by Renee, who gets a big boot to Cena's face.
Yeah, in the corner. Yeah, that looked pretty brutal.
Renee gets stuck in the ropes off an attempted clothesline by Cena. And then Cena runs at Renee, and Renee pulls the ropes down, and Cena goes, "Oh,
yeah, with ropes. Right thud."
Yeah, absolutely. I've got hit the floor hard in capitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what I picked up in this match was the 5-knuckle shuffle when Cena did this at this time was so much better than he does it these days. I mean, I know it's just a punch to the face, but he used to do like, move his arms more and like he cared more to, look good. Whereas now he just kind of like just does the move with like a little movement. Like
I think when Cena goes to that 5-knuckle shuffle, it's like there's a lot more emphasis on it, and like he tries to
be more charismatic.
Yeah, definitely more charismatic, and that, and it does look a lot better than what it. I guess it's got attitude on it. I think that's what it would be, where it's not like that anymore. But Renee moves off his first 5-knuckle shuffle.
Well, his attitude went into the attitude adjustment because it's no longer called the FU.
Well, that's it. So he couldn't do that with the
5-knuckle shuffle. You have to take something away from something else to make something else better.
So then Renee starts to mock Cena. He does some like a French tickler, or he goes to a French tickler or something.
No, the French tickler is a little dance he does.
Oh, is that what that
before the move? Yeah.
Okay, right. So he does French tickler. He goes to do an elbow drop off the ropes, but Cena moves.
So he used to say to the ladies, "Do you like my French tickler?"
Okay, there we are. You see that Renee starts bleeding from the mouth, but we're not really sure, or bleeding in the mouth. We're not really sure when or how that happens. Cena goes for a couple of the roll-up pins, and eventually he does an attitude adjustment or FU to retain the title. Yeah,
I really enjoyed the match. I really enjoyed Rene Dupree. Like I said before, I really wish they'd put more stock into him. I think he could have been a really good heel if they'd, tried more. Another note I have is look at all them signs in the crowd. You don't see that now in 2020. There was just so many, signs there. I know we've been to wrestling before and we've not been allowed to take our signs in, which I think is silly. But it's all them people that spoil it for everyone else, being stupid, I suppose.
It's like you can't take anything in now these days, can you? Like, I don't even bother taking a bag. We take your wallet with my debit cards in it and a phone.
Don't you tell everyone that. They're going to know to mug us.
Oh, because we've got nothing on us.
Yeah, we go to wrestling, we have nothing on us at all. So, yeah, don't mug us, guys.
We literally, we don't have it. We don't take a bag or anything to take anything in. Do we?
Anyway.
We'll just say. Nothing to mug.
So Cena goes into
goes to the hopes and dreams and that's it. Sorry. Cena goes into the crowd.
The wife is testing me on this episode, guys. So Cena goes into the crowd to give a fan his Lakers jersey, but he goes pretty far out into the crowd. I was quite surprised actually how far up the arena, the stands, shall we say, he went. Taz said quite a funny joke. Cena gives the Laker jersey to a fan wearing a yellow t-shirt, and Taz goes, "He doesn't need a yellow t-shirt. He's already got one." Which I kind of thought was quite funny. It probably didn't sound as funny when I say it there. So next up there was a video package promoting Kenzo Suzuki, a Japanese wrestler who used to come into the ring with his, I assume it was his wife with painted face. So And once again, it is trying to create a new star, but just a few months down the line, Kenzo Suzuki will be teamed up with Rene Dupree. That's where Rene Dupree went from here. They had a little run with the tag team titles, but that was it really for both guys, really. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, really, because like I said, probably said this about 8 times now, I thought Rene Dupree had a lot of potential, but they just didn't really.
I feel like it's like quite, that happens quite, like we've said that quite, I don't know about a lot of wrestlers on this show, you know, that there was a lot of potential with them when you say, well, you believe in Mordecai, that's your opinion. With Rene Dupree, obviously RVD as well, like all these people, you said it about Billy Gunn, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Billy Gunn didn't have a good run.
Even like Alcoholic, we didn't really even talk a lot about Alcoholic, did we?
Yeah.
But he had like great potential, but he seemed to be a little bit injury prone because I know he broke his arm against Kurt Angle, he broke his neck against Brock Lesnar. So yeah, sorry, I cut you off there.
It's fine, you always do. But yeah.
And next up, now I'm joking. Go
on. But yeah, all, you know, it seems to be either they're trying to push a lot of new talent or whatever, but it just doesn't seem to work. And it's like, why is this happening? Why are these characters that we feel are good and we feel like could have got a thing, and then like 2 months down the line, there's nothing of them. Like that's not a lot of time, is it?
No.
They obviously gave up on them very quickly.
Yeah.
So what's that? 2 months is 8 shows, 8
SmackDowns.
Yeah, 8 SmackDowns. 16 hours. It's not a lot, is it?
And next up, we have Booker T against The Undertaker. I really like Booker T, really like The Undertaker. I wasn't a massive fan of the match, to be honest. It only went 11 minutes 25. I kind of did feel, to me, it felt a little bit long. I thought it was a little bit slow paced.
I said that, and I wasn't sure if it was. I said, not my favourite match so far. I appreciate The Undertaker's talent. I just found this match to be a bit slow, which I know is his style, but I just didn't get into it.
And the commentators are putting over it's a rare appearance from The Undertaker. But it wasn't, well, like he'd just come back at WrestleMania. He had been off for a few months because he was leaving the American Badass Undertaker gimmick to come back as the Dead Man Undertaker. But for them to say it's a rare appearance, maybe it was at the time, but I don't remember. I just feel like this was the start of them pushing things onto the fans that weren't necessarily true. Like recently, they've been saying that Edge and Randy Orton's the greatest wrestling match in wrestling history, blah blah blah, all that crap. I feel like maybe around here was the start of them doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. This match just didn't do it for me, which is a shame because, as you said, Booker T, Undertaker, 2 really good talents, could have a lot of potential. I just feel like it never got out of first gear.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually watched one Booker T and Undertaker match and really liked it, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know why. To me, maybe they just don't gel properly, which is crazy because I grew up watching Booker T and Chris Benoit go out there and have, like 5-star matches, in my opinion. That's one thing I did point out, actually. Booker T did a missile dropkick off the top rope, and it just didn't have the finesse it used to have when he was in WCW. Maybe it's because he's a little bit bigger now or a little bit older. Maybe he didn't have the same, stature, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. There were a few good spots. Undertaker climbs up into the top rope and walks on and does the old school. He then goes for a last ride, but Booker T reverses it and sort of like hits the ref, which enables Booker T to go to his weird black bag that he has. It turns out being filled with powder, which I'm assuming is like,
Were they meant to be ashes?
I thought that they were supposed to be ashes, but he throws the powder stuff into Undertaker's face, which then makes Undertaker look like he's been eating cocaine. What?
Do you not know what colour cocaine's meant to be?
Yeah, I know. This is weird. Why would I not know what cocaine is? Like,
I said, what colour?
Well, it's white, isn't it?
Yeah, this was like
a grey
dirt.
colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Unless you're Walter White and it'll be blue.
Well, okay. Going off the topic of drugs that we don't need to be on about. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that Booker T sends the Undertaker into the steel steps. he does sell like his knees hurting for a little bit.
Yeah, Booker T wraps it Undertaker's knee around around the ring post first, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then into the steel steps.
So that was alright.
Yeah, but then the finish is just a chokeslam, then a tombstone. I will say he seems to lose a little bit of momentum with a chokeslam. He didn't really have hold of Booker T around the neck properly. I did notice. So yeah, not a great match in my opinion. I didn't really think the feud going into the pay-per-view was that great neither, to be honest. I remember leading up to this pay-per-view, there was like a video segment with a hand coming out of the ground. And I remember at school, all the kids being like, oh, well, does that mean someone's going to come back at the pay-per-view? So, we thought something big was going to happen and nothing did happen. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
I mean, obviously you won't know this because...
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That didn't even get brought up in the
No,
pay-per-view.
it didn't even get brought up, no. So yeah, it was a bit...
What, did anything come off that after
Nope,
pay-per-view?
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it never even got mentioned again. So yeah, maybe they punted it and they changed their minds, I don't know, but I remember, as a child being a bit like, felt like we've been given kind of like a false promise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing worse than when they like start to build something up and then they just drop it. What was that wrestler that they kept doing the pay-per-view? The female wrestler.
Emelina.
Yeah, Emelina.
So I think she had like promo packages for it felt like at least like 25 weeks. And then on her debut as Emelina, she came out and said she was going back to being Emma. Wow. I really do like Emma as well. It's not dissing Emma because I don't think she wanted to do this gimmick.
Is Emma still in WWE or is
no,
she?
I don't even know where she is.
Okay.
To be honest.
It's a shame because she had a lot of potential.
Yeah. She was at Full of Wrestling when we were there as well, actually.
She was, yeah.
When I went and met Summer Rae, she was talking to Summer Rae, but to be honest, I didn't like what Emma was wearing, so I didn't go and talk to her.
You are an asshole.
She was, I don't know, I just didn't like what she was wearing. And kind of,
she was wearing, you weren't going to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the man that I chose to marry.
I'm sorry, I just didn't...
It's a good job I must have been wearing something alright the first day you met me. Yeah, speechless now, aren't you?
I'm not saying anything. You don't know who's listening.
Oh, dear.
But no, going back to Emma, though, her match with Asuka at TakeOver London is probably my favourite Emma match, in my opinion. Just putting that out there. So next up, the main event, JBL versus Eddie Guerrero. So yeah, the main event, the reason why everyone is here, I thought leading up to this match, it had a great video package. You saw JBL with Eddie Guerrero's mum at the live event in El Paso, Texas, I think it was. So the storyline was that JBL was going to give Eddie's mum a heart attack, and actually in real life, she, I think she ended up having a stroke or a very mild heart attack. I think it was, which is obviously really sad. I don't think Eddie was best pleased with how things went down, but.
I can imagine why.
Oh yeah, I know.
Your mum having it, some sort of attack due to a storyline and live is that would have been awful, traumatic. But
I remember as a kid thinking it was actually real, and I mean, it was really like, but you just hope.
Wow, she's a good actor.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're hoping it's not real, aren't you? But unfortunately for that time, it really was.
Yeah.
So if you've seen Eddie Guerrero's mum in the Eddie Guerrero DVD, she seems like a lovely woman. So yeah, obviously you don't want anything. You don't wish that upon anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like that. And I think obviously she got worked up because she wanted to do her best for Eddie, and I think she got herself worked up and gave herself a mild heart attack, unfortunately.
Bless her.
But that's a mother's love, I suppose.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, trying to do the best for her son. So I thought it was interesting when JBL comes out. I don't know if you noticed, but how silent the crowd was. It wasn't like there was even any boos. It was just pure silence.
I did not notice that, actually.
Yeah, like there was no. I felt like, obviously when there's heel heat, a lot of heel heat, and there's lots of booing and stuff like that. There was just nothing. It was just his music and him walking down, and the crowd was just like crickets.
I didn't pick that up. That is not good for JBL.
No.
I didn't pick that up, but I feel like he turned it around with. Yeah, it was another heel promo, but this was, in my opinion, the best one of the night. It made the most sense. If you're going to do one, especially one in ring, this is definitely the one to have. He was saying about once he sends Eddie Guerrero back to Mexico, he's going to let his mum be his maid or something like that, which was, pretty funny. And JBL is such a good heel. This one thing I will say about this main event it is a proper like old school main event where you've got a great babyface, a great heel going up against each other, like good against evil. You really want to see Eddie Guerrero kick JBL's ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously Eddie Guerrero is just such like everybody loves him. He's such a people's person, isn't he? You know, almost I want to say like so relatable. And obviously JBL isn't so relatable. He's just a massive asshole and everything like that. And I think it just brought about a lot of chemistry. And I was really excited about this match.
I do also feel like the belt came second in this match as well. I feel like their feud was bigger than the belt looking back now.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot about the belt, to be honest.
Yeah, it could have not been for a belt, and this could have still been the main event of the pay-per-view. I remember as a child looking forward to this, just because Eddie Guerrero was going to be in the pay-per-view, the main event, of the pay-per-view. I wasn't a massive fan of JBL at the time, just because I felt like his main event, push came from nowhere. But obviously, looking back now as an adult, you can see why. Obviously, like we said at the beginning of the show, Goldberg leaving, Lesnar leaving, Angle being injured, they need to create a new star straight away. And obviously, they didn't want to push John Cena too soon, which is probably good for Cena because his run was fine. Really,
Yeah, he's done pretty good for himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, they could have pushed him sooner and he could have got a bigger head. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the way they did it in this situation worked out better for Cena in the long run. But yeah, I really love Eddie Guerrero. I miss him all the time. Get a bit choked up actually saying that, to be honest. Yeah, it is pretty awful, that he passed away when he did. I was actually meant to see Eddie Guerrero at wrestling. My mum had got me wrestling tickets for my 16th or 15th birthday, and apparently Eddie Guerrero was meant to have won the title from Batista and Randy Orton in a triple threat match that night. But unfortunately for the whole world, he passed away. I think it was just 2 or 3 weeks before then. I think the week before I went to wrestling was the week they did like the tribute show, and then the next week, it was the show that I would have seen at. Because before the show starts, Taz was in the ring and said, thanks to all the fan support for being there for Eddie Guerrero, and I'm actually literally getting teary talking about it. Is pretty awful.
It is awful, especially Eddie had a lot of other troubles, and he managed to turn himself around, and then you just think, he was trying his best then, and then the most awful thing happens.
And like what I've found out like more recently as well, I can't remember. I'm not sure if it was on Jericho's Cruise when Chavo told the story, or if it was on the Chris Benoit Dark Side of the Ring. But when Chavo went into Eddie's room and like he picked Eddie up, I think Eddie like tried to speak or something, and then he like died in Chavo's arms.
Oh God,
it's pretty awful. But this is kind of taking the show on a downer. I didn't realise this was going to happen.
Well, I got one of my notes here on saying about Eddie Guerrero. It's just how jacked he looked in this match. I mean, at this time, he just looks amazing. Like his physique is just incredible. He's proper jacked.
Yeah, he really is. I feel like some belts really suit wrestlers as well. I think this belt really suited Eddie Guerrero. It's like when I see John Cena with a world championship, I don't think that belt really suited Cena.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, obviously his belt was the spinner belt, but I feel like that really suited him here. This title belt really suited Eddie Guerrero. A true champion Eddie Guerrero. He deserves to be where he is in this spot on the card.
So when the match starts, Eddie Guerrero's all over JBL, and they get outside the ring quite quickly, don't they? And then Eddie Guerrero's probably going for JBL, and bounces his head off the announce table, and then grabs a cable and Eddie Guerrero starts choking JBL.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why he didn't get disqualified for this.
Yeah, I don't know that actually.
Maybe
the referee wasn't looking.
Maybe he wasn't looking. But I actually turned to you and said, what's the stipulation on this match then?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, there isn't one. I was like, oh,
Well, when you asked me that, I was like, I know it's a DQ finish, so like it can't be a no DQ match.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting that he didn't get disqualified for that.
Yeah. Also pointing out there was an awesome NWO red and black flag in the crowd in this match that it must have just brought out for the end, and that was really a really cool sight to see in the crowd. But yeah, at one point Eddie jumps over the top rope onto JBL. JBL catches him into a follower slam.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
And then JBL chucks him onto the table, and Eddie kind of just like slides, like he's just slid so smooth off the table.
Yeah, well, I said that, and wait, because he clears off the announcers table, Spanish announcers table, but he doesn't get rid of the TVs. So the TVs are still, the big chunky TVs they had at the time. They were still in the
before iPads.
Yeah, before iPads, they were still sort of in the table, and as Eddie goes over, the top of his back like hits the TV before he then slides off, and that always makes me cringe because I always think there's no way that didn't hurt. There's no way you can protect yourself from that. It's a metal TV going into your back, and that just shivers down my spine. It's the worst one I can think of. Is in WrestleMania 30 in the triple threat match with Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, and Batista. And is it Batista throws Randy Orton onto the table?
No. What they do is they're going to do a Batista bomb into an RKO.
Yeah.
And when they do the RKO part, and Randy Orton just falls straight onto the monitor.
Oh my God!
It looks like that killed.
Every time I watch that back,
yeah,
I
and like you see Randy Orton like's face. It's just, that's real.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even Batista's not sure what to do after that because it is just like because Randy Orton is seriously cut up about that at it.
Back to the action. The referee gets knocked down in the ring. Considering like Eddie kind of just falls into him, he does go down for a long time.
Yeah, I put this. Well, I put Eddie counters a move. I'm not sure what move it was, but a drop kick midair, which was a really good spot. And then Eddie runs into the ref and knocks him down. It always annoys me how weak the refs are. Like seriously, he literally pushes him over, and then it's not like he got knocked out with a chair or anything. He just got tapped and he falls over. It's like that really, really irritates me.
So while the referee is down, JBL hits Eddie over the head with a steel chair. The sound of this as well sounds awful. Like if you listen to the snap of the chair over Eddie Guerrero's head, it's awful. Obviously now we know, that Eddie Guerrero had actually bladed the chair, didn't bust him open. But as a teenager, should I say, I really did think that chair had busted him open with, the sound.
Well, I thought it had, and then you would inform me that he bladed. And Eddie's bleeding profusely from the top of his head.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Which for me now, this match, I don't enjoy it. Now, it makes me sound like a bit of a girl. I don't like blading. I don't like blood. So when they purposefully blade themselves, especially the amount that I realize maybe you can't control how much blood comes out, but I then couldn't watch the rest of the match because it just made me feel sick to look at Eddie.
Yeah, I think sometimes with the blading as well, it is they go too deep. Obviously, like Eddie Guerrero did. I know Randy Orton's done it before. I think Sid's done it before in WCW because they had a match where Sid and Goldberg and they had to stop the match because Sid was bleeding too much as well. But yeah, I feel like when Cody did the dive in AEW and landed on his face and busted his top eyebrow open, there's quite a lot of blood from that. Like that was real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I'm not saying you can't bleed.
I know you're not what you're saying, but I feel like when it's real, you don't mind as much because it's a different kind of blood. I know it's the same blood from your body, but I feel like the blading when it's done wrong, it looks so awful.
The blading and the blood just ruined the match for me because I physically couldn't watch the screen without wanting to throw up. It made me feel
it is awful, but then it tells the story of how much these two really hate each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do get that and that, but I just...
Like, don't get me wrong, if I had the choice of being able to go back in time and for them not to do that, because at the end of spoilers, JBL does the same thing at the end of the match. I feel like they could have got away with it with doing it so good without the blood as well. Like, I don't think it needed.
I feel like they had so much heat anyway.
Yeah.
And there was such a good story anyway that for me anyway, it just ruined it for me. But obviously I'm not very good with blood anyway, so perhaps if I was, I don't know, just felt like it was unnecessary. Felt like it didn't need it. Don't really know what happened in the rest of the match. I know that at one point JBL tries to wake the ref by beating him.
Yeah, that was quite fun. That was a little bit later on.
The ref has just been hardly able to move after a small knock. And
Yeah.
Thought, let's beat him.
It's funny though that like the referee goes down for so long because Eddie Guerrero knocked him over. Like, how many children do you think get knocked over and just get straight back up?
Ridiculous. It literally makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's like a ladder situation.
Yeah, we'll leave that conversation for a different day.
Okay.
So yeah, JBL hits Eddie Guerrero with the steel steps. At one point, he is punching Eddie Guerrero over the head, making the wound of the chair shot worse. Obviously, in storyline. He hits Eddie with a clothesline from hell. This is when the referee is knocked down and he starts beating the referee, like you just said. Second referee runs into the ring, but there is a kick out. And then I actually missed this spot, but then Charles Robinson, the new referee, gets knocked out as well.
I have no notes on the match, what happens next, because I couldn't watch the TV. Like, that is... All I know is that JBL won due to disqualification. That's
yeah, so other spots in the match.
Sorry.
Eddie reversed a sleeper into a backdrop. He goes for a frog splash, but JBL moves. So towards the end of the match, JBL brings in a chair and the title belt at the same time. The referee only sees the chair. Now he has recovered from his 20-minute sleep. So he's getting rid of the chair while JBL goes to hit Eddie with the title. But Eddie reverses it and low blows JBL while the referee's back is turned. But then the referee does see him hit JBL over the head with the title belt. So JBL wins the match by DQ. He does not win the title. After the match, Eddie continues to beat down JBL. He hits him with a steel chair. So then I assume JBL blades himself. I don't know. I assume, if both men bladed, that would make more sense. I don't think he got cut up in the hard way. So yeah, then Eddie frog splashes him in the ring, and then you think JBL's going back to the back now, but Eddie still runs after him and beats him down on the ramp again. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero celebrates in the ring, and that was the end of the paper. Well, I mean, he celebrates in the ring. He did lose the match, but he's still champion. I suppose storyline-wise, he feels like he got a bit of revenge on JBL.
Yeah, especially for his mum. To be honest, I didn't watch any of that because...
Yeah. So, what I liked about this match is, obviously, like I said, it felt like the feud was bigger than the belt, whereas the next month they have a Texas Bull Rope match at the next pay-per-view, and I feel like that match didn't have the heat as this match did. Obviously, they had more time to build as well, but I feel like this match had more heat going into it. And, the match later was more about JBL winning the title. It wasn't actually about their feud. That's just my opinion. So high and low points of the match. Not the match. High and low points of the card. Like I've said throughout this podcast today, there was just too many heel promos for me. I really just didn't. On a pay-per-view, I don't think there's no need for them. But even if it was an episode of Raw or SmackDown or AEW or whatever you watch, NWA, Impact Wrestling, all these heel promos for one show was too much for me. I think this show went about 2 hours and 37 minutes, I think it said on the network. So yeah, same 5-6 heel promos. It's just not necessary. And also it was a bit of like on paper it looks like it is a one match card, Eddie Guerrero and JBL. If you just looked at the card you might think, this is a one match pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And what would you say your low points were of the pay-per-view?
Low points, Scotty Tony and Mordecai just didn't get that at all. And then the blood, the bleeding, that I was really enjoying this match until that, and then there was just that much of it. It left a sour taste in my mouth at the end of the pay-per-view, which is a shame because, and I know it's just me, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me about that, but the fact that I have no idea how it finished and what happened at the end of it was because I couldn't watch the screen. So But high points. Loved RVD, Rey Mysterio, and the Dudley Boys, and John Cena and Rene Dupree.
Yeah, my high points would be the main event. Obviously, I do agree with you about the blood there. You know, I don't really think it was all that necessary. So yeah, I love the video packages for both the main event and Cena and Rene Dupree's match. I also like the fact that they are trying to build new stars. I just wish some of them had been a bit more successful in the long run. So say the new stars wise, here they're building up Mordecai, which never happened. Potentially Rico and Charlie Haas as a tag team, that never really happened. Rene Dupree, he didn't really happen. And then the video package for Kenzo Suzuki, yep, he didn't really happen. So out of all these, chucking JBL at the end, JBL is the only successful one out of them all, really.
Yep.
But it is good to see that they are, trying. So yeah, that to me, watching this pay-per-view and seeing that they are actually trying to create new stars was maybe my, high point of the pay-per-view in general, just because it is nice to see different wrestlers try and get the spotlight a bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know you didn't enjoy Mordecai, but I actually did enjoy watching, looking back and seeing what they tried to do. That even though it didn't work, looking back, like I said, when I do think of Judgment Day, I do think of the main event, and Mordecai will probably be the two things I remember the most, just because there's probably only 2 pay-per-views Mordecai's ever been in. So
I have to remember one of them.
Yeah, you have to remember one of them. So yeah, forgot to say the main event was 23 minutes and 15 seconds. But obviously the match, the antics after the match, we wish they probably went on another 5 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, taking up to about half an hour.
Yeah, so would you say this was a thumbs up or a thumbs down pay-per-view? Or a thumbs in the middle?
I'm going to say a thumbs in the middle.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Just, I feel like there was some really high points in that, but also some very much lows. I think sort of balanced it out, so I would give it a thumbs in the middle.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this might actually be my favourite JBL match, maybe. Yeah, him. Well, maybe that or his steel cage match with Eddie on episodes of SmackDown. If JBL matches, I would say his matches with Eddie were probably my favourite. I don't think JBL would have got over as much as he did if he had feuded with someone else. I feel like Eddie really made JBL into a star. And I reckon JBL would tell you the same thing himself, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed watching Eddie Guerrero in the main event.
And I really enjoyed seeing John Cena and RVD. Two of my highlights, those two.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
That is good. And I know I've said it quite a lot, but Rene Dupree, I really do think he could have been something bigger if, they'd just stuck with him a little bit longer. I do think their video package before the match was really good. Same with JBL and Eddie Guerrero's. Maybe, even there could have been, I feel like there was more drama going into Cena and Rene Dupree than there was Undertaker and Booker T. I feel like their match was just more.
I keep forgetting they had a match.
Yeah, just more there. I even remember watching it as a teenager and not even being that bothered about the actual match. For me, it was more who was this hand that came out of the ground, which
really annoyed me now that
they never paid off on.
About it, yeah.
Yeah, so just going forward after this, the Dudley Boys went to feud with the Undertaker after this. Mordecai had one more pay-per-view match, and I believe that was it. Rico and Charlie Haas lost their titles to the Dudley Boys, I think. Cena defended his title in a 4-way at the Great American Bash. I think in the match was Cena, Rene Dupree, Booker T, and RVD, but that's just rolling off the top of my head. I'm not sure if that is true. And yeah, JBL would then win the title off Eddie Guerrero at the next SmackDown pay-per-view. So yeah, that was the aftermath of this pay-per-view, should we say. So yeah, I think that is about it for the podcast today from the man
and the wife.
So yeah, once again, if you did enjoy this, please give it a like. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Was that main event just a little bit too bloody? And please, please, please subscribe to the channel. It is the best way of supporting the Man Games. Let us know if you do like these podcasts so I can make the wife do more.
Yeah, let us know what you would like us to talk about. If there's any pay-per-views or anything that you would like us to watch.
Yeah,
Absolutely
like
do
top
it.
fives. I really would like to do a top 5 Becky Lynch matches.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any things that you would like to do off the top of your head? Obviously we've only done a few podcasts now, but
we've only done a couple. I would like to do something, perhaps with like Finn Balor or maybe British wrestlers, British wrestling matches, something like that.
Yeah, that's something we could definitely do.
I just want to see Finn Balor.
I thought Finn Balor or Tyler Bate.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I said. Finn Balor, British wrestlers.
Yeah. So would you say Tyler Bate was your favourite British wrestler?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Who's yours?
Of all time or like current?
Give me both.
See, when you say all time, you kind of go immediately to William Regal. I think William Regal was quite ahead of his time. I think it is a right shame that he never won a major championship in wrestling. Obviously, he had some high points. He won the King of the Ring. He was Intercontinental Champion. He was European Champion. He was Tag Team Champion. He was a General Manager of Raw, Commissioner of WWE. In WCW, he was the Television Champion, I believe. And like, I used to hate William Regal when I was a kid just because some of the faces he used to pull. I just think, what is your problem, mate? Why are you pulling them faces? He used to it was just awful. But British wrestler now, it's probably gonna have to be. Yeah, it's probably gonna have to be Tyler Bate. I would agree with you. I do really like Pete Dunne though.
Yeah, I do like Pete Dunne. But when we met him, he wasn't very friendly.
He wasn't very friendly. He was very much like his character, very bit like grunty. Yeah.
Good wrestler though.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler. I really enjoy his matches. Obviously their match at TakeOver Chicago is probably a highlight to me, especially. His match with Walter as well at NXT New York, I think it was. That was really good. That powerbomb off the top rope, was really good. Or maybe it was the middle rope, can't remember. But yeah, they are two highlights. And also him against Zach Gibson when we were at Brooklyn, which we have talked about on the podcast already, actually.
Yeah.
It's another high point. But yeah, we've ended up finishing a Judgment Day 2004 talking about British wrestling. What marks we are. So yeah, one more time, please like this video, subscribe to us, it does really help, and once again, let us know in the comments what you would like us to talk about on the show. And also, if you've got any questions, write that in the comments. We could maybe do a Q&A one day.
Yeah.
We get enough questions, even if it was just a short podcast, we could do it. Or maybe even do a live stream or something. We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.
That's all for the Mind Games today.